Hi there, welcome to my weekly live stream. I'm Kristine Weber. I'm going to be talking about cross crawl movements today. That's the topic, and actually it's part one because I will be doing another piece of that next week as well. I've also been blogging about that this week, so if you didn't catch my blog, please catch that on at subtleyoga.com. So I usually wait a few minutes before I get rolling with the live stream because it takes a little while for Facebook's algorithm to catch up. I put my mat out today, so I'm going to show you some poses, some postures for cross crawl movements. But I thought I would talk about it a little bit first, and the brain. A couple of things before I get rolling while I'm just waiting for people to come on. Sorry, I always get the dates wrong. April 25th and 26th is the Subtle Yoga Community Retreat. I would love you to join me for that. It's here in Nashville. We're going to be, it's called Asana Mandala, and we're going to be exploring many different variations of different asanas, so I'd love you to come for that. Also, keep an eye out for your email because next week we're having a Love Yourself Valentine's Day sale on some of our courses, so keep an eye out and look for that because it's it's a sale and we put little bonuses in and there'll be good value on things. Okay, so let me get started today by talking a little bit about the benefits of cross crawl movement. So what does cross crawl mean? First of all, well, it's kind of implicit in the name, isn't it? The crawling, right? So the opposite hand and, can you see my leg? I'll go back for the opposite hand and leg stuff, right? Marching is a cross crawl movement. Aerobics, cross crawl movement. There's lots of different things we do in yoga that are cross crawl movements. But the other thing that is also categorized as cross crawl is, and by the way, this technically, this is contralateral. Opposite hand and foot is contralateral. Opposite arm and leg is contralateral. Opposite hand and foot as well. But there's some other interesting aspects of cross crawl movement, which also include, so that's contralateral. This is called cross lateral. So when you do stuff like this, change, right? Or eagle, that crossing the midline, cross lateral, is also very good for the brain. So contralateral, good for the brain, particularly developmentally. Cross lateral is good for the brain developmentally. And so that's why babies do it. That's why the first thing you want to see with a baby is this, opposite hand and foot movement. Babies who stand up and walk right away and skip crawling often are missing a big important piece of brain development, and sometimes the occupational therapist will take them back, or other therapists will take them back to the crawling stage because it's such an important stage in neural development. Now, the important piece here is that it's never too late to have a happy childhood because your brain can always change. You can always develop your brain more. You can always elicit more neuroplasticity, positive neuroplasticity. You can make changes in the brain. Why is this contralateral stuff so good? It's very soothing for the nervous system, for the parasympathetic part of the nervous system, first of all. So sometimes when I'm lying in bed and I can't sleep, gosh, yes, that happens to me. I'll do right hand, left foot, just gentle extension. I think I'll show you that one on the mat. Left hand, right foot. Sometimes I don't even do it. I just visualize that I'm doing it because it's that opposite. It's getting the two hemispheres of the brain to work together to coordinate their function that has this very calming effect down. It's like a down regulating effect on the stress response. So it's great to do these things. It's great to incorporate them into your yoga classes. Today I want to show you a few things you can incorporate into your yoga classes, and next week I'll go a little bit further. So one other thing I want to say is that there's also something, so I talked about contralateral, I talked about cross-lateral, there's also something called bilateral. So bilateral stimulation is like, if you're hearing the binaural beats where it's like this ear, this ear, this ear, it goes bing, bing, back and forth. The music will go wah, wah, like that sometimes. If you listen, you can listen to this stuff. It's out there, it's on YouTube and stuff. Binaural beats or bilateral beats also have a similar effect on the hemisphere of the brain. So you hear them in your ears, or you'll see this. which looks like the Jesus mudra, but I'm actually just doing, I guess it is, I'm actually just following my fingers. And so EMDR therapists will do that. That's a special kind of psychotherapy. Eye movement, EMDR, desensitization, I can't remember what the R stands for. If somebody remembers what EMDR stands for, please put it in the comments. Recalibration. Anyway, the idea with EMDR is you're processing traumatic memories and helping the hemispheres of the brain to communicate more, because the goal is integration. That is the goal with all the contralateral stuff, with all the cross-lateral stuff, with bilateral stuff. The goal is integrate, because you want to be an integrated human being. You want the hemispheres to be working well. Everything is doing its job properly. Things are communicating well across this. There's many things that go across the brain, but the corpus callosum is the main structure. So that's what you're doing. So when you offer contralateral, cross-lateral, bilateral stuff in your yoga classes, you're giving people a chance to regulate the nervous system. It's such important stuff, and it's so fun, and it's so basic. So here's a couple of ideas. So the first one, I'm going to back up. I think you can hear me from here. First one is just, the bilateral, moving arms and legs. And by the way, when you bring, right now I'm just doing arms, right? By the way, when you bring breath into it, you add this other component. Now you've taken behavioral control of the breath, and you're adding this soothing nervous system component to it. So bilateral stuff like this: inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. I mean, so easy to add that. Integration would be, after doing that, then doing a few, both arms up and both arms down, both arms up and both arms down. I'm going faster than I usually would. I usually go very slow. Here's another example. This one is an example of crossing the midline, right? So cross-lateral. I put one hand on top, one hand underneath the other hand on top. Inhale. I'm coming up on my toes. You don't have to do that. Exhale back. Crossing which hand is in front, right? Those are simple ways that, and then maybe for integration, you can do inhale, exhale, bring the palms together, right? So those sorts of things are adding to, they start to add to complexity. They make the brain have to think a little bit. And then the firing happens, and there's more coordination. You even can grow more white matter across that corpus callosum. Now, expanding on that, you can add some things like this is crossing the midline stuff. And then I have to also coordinate my back foot spinning up. So there's something going on there across the body, and a little bit of brain challenge, right? That's another easy one. This comes from Qigong. Another one from Qigong I like is opposite hand and leg. Use an inhale up, exhale down, opposite hand and leg. Simple. Want to make it harder? Stay for 3 breaths, right? Straighten your leg. That'll make it a little harder. There's lots of ways you can add to that. Now, of course, a great way to do contralateral movement, and cross-lateral to some extent, but contralateral more, is from tabletop, right? So from tabletop, you can do right arm, left leg, bird dog, left arm, right leg. Use an inhale. The other one I love from here is from child's pose, coming up, right arm, left leg, and then back to child's, and then left arm, right leg. Get lots of simple contralateral stuff there. You can do lots of contralateral stuff from your back. From supine position is a great way to do contralateral stuff as well. And then I didn't show you that much with standing. I only showed you mountain pose, but certainly like a standing twist, right? Crossing the midline with the twist is another way to bring it in. I also do fun stuff with Warrior One. So like I'll bend the right knee and the left arm can go up and down. Inhale up, exhale down. And then you can do like a Charleston, like inhale up and then switch the arms and take the other leg up. Right, so switching back and forth, that kind of fun stuff. That it's a little challenging for your brain, and it kind of wakes up the hemispheres for this corpus callosum, so the corpus callosum can fire a bit. Okay, so thank you so much for being here. If you could please leave a little hello, I was here, and hopefully you enjoyed it. That would be great. If you have any questions or comments, I'm happy to get to those. And it's just lovely to have you here. I really appreciate you joining me for these little Thursday talks. I'll be back next week with part 2. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into the neuroscience, and I'll show you a few more techniques next week. Thanks. Namaste.